Okay, well, very good, very good. Okay, guys, nice to see you all. Oh, that's right, Keith, you're down under. Um, Good to see everyone. Welcome to the Monday afternoon webinar. This is kind of, remember, this is our watch list. This is the what do I think is going to be fantastically awesome for this coming week, and where do we think a few things might be headed, and what do we think a few things might be doing, and so on and so forth. So let's get right down to it. Remember that this is what I see happening right now. Definitely tonight, more things could pop up. More setups could come. More, crazy news could change something. So this is generally what I'm looking for this week, but it can change on a day-to-day basis. But for the most part, everything that I look at the start of the week tends to play out fairly nicely throughout the week. But again, there are definitely trades that are added as the week goes on, and setups that are added that are just not obvious and apparent right now. So for anybody that would like to get a little bit of a look at those setups and kind of keep up with us from a day-to-day basis, you can go to daytradersfx.com, and if you go there and you click on Start Now, that'll give you two membership options. One is our live trade group on the very top, and if you go down a little bit further, one is just access to the website, which actually gives you all the recordings of these live trade sessions that happen twice a day, as well as mobile trade alerts and access to the trades that are posted and all of that stuff. So both of them are a banging bargain, if I do say so myself. So I put the link in the chat there. So anybody that would like to get a free trial, have at it. Okay, so here's a little look at what we have in the news this week. We don't have any major central bank news expected, which is kind of good because that can be kind of crazy. Now, don't mistake that with the fact that we have Bank of Japan, we have Kuroda speaking, excuse me, and then we have Carney speaking from the Bank of England. Where'd you go, Carney? On Thursday. But these are not expected to be huge, official central bank announcements. These are kind of some, we're talking, we're chatting, we're doing what we do, kind of a thing. So it's kind of nice to not have, official interest rate stuff, and actual official statements. So this week it's just a bunch of fairly steady, good old-fashioned news announcements, and there's enough that the markets won't be super boring and quiet, but not so much that it's just craziness from one announcement to the next, which can definitely happen when it comes down to news. So that's what we got going on. So it should be a fantastic week. Let me just say what I got to say about the euro dollar. Let's look at the euro dollar. I actually love the euro dollar sometimes, and sometimes I definitely don't love it. But right now I'm kind of in the middle of loving it and not loving it. I don't know where I am in the spectrum, but the euro dollar is kind of choppy. It's kind of ugly. The one thing that I am loving, though, is number one. Keep in mind the euro dollar doesn't have much of a setup for me. It's hit the 200 moving average on the 4-hour chart. There's really no setup for me on euro dollar. The only thing that I am looking at here is that this huge price rejection candle right here. Remember, this spiked down and it just bounced right back up, and then the euro just immediately started tumbling once again. But then it held that low, and that low is about 135.00. The fact that that big hammer right there held, this is a daily chart, by the way, so this is definitely a significant candle. The fact that that hammer held with a 135.00 low tells me, and should tell all of us, that we have a really excellent chance of about 137.00 getting hit. So if the euro dollar reaches, if it moves up another 100 pips over the next couple of days or day or sometime this week, do not be surprised. I'm going to be looking for an entry here, but honestly, I just don't have anything that I love except for getting long euro dollar against 135.00. So if it stays above 135.00, if it can retrace 50 pips sometime over the next day or two, then I'll probably get into it. Somewhere around the 135.50 area, I'll probably get long euro dollar and trade it up to 137.00. I kind of watched it a little bit last week, bounce around, and and it did give us a little bit of a move down into that area. I was kind of suspect if it was going to hold. It did hold, and so again, I will probably be getting long 135.00 euro dollar, 135.50 with stops just below 135.00 on euro dollar, targeting 137.00. So, I'll risk 50 to make 150, and I think the 150 is very likely. But again, it's just not a great setup, but it's something that I'm watching for whatever reason. The biggest thing that I love here is when we get crosses of the 23% fib, we have such a good chance of making it to the 38, like really, really good chance. And so the fact that that's happened, as well as this huge daily price rejection candle, tells me that we should probably be getting long euro dollar against that low. So that's what I'm looking for. That is what I'm looking for. Is the sound still good for everybody? I'm getting some sound problems maybe. Still good everywhere? Most of the time it's usually an individual thing. All right. So that's what we're looking for on euro dollar. We will keep that in mind and see how it goes. Okay, very good. Thanks, guys. Okay, here's pound dollar. Here's something we're going to do on the pound dollar. This pound dollar is getting so overextended, it's kind of crazy. It's a little bit crazy. It's definitely really, really running up like nobody's business. Now, a couple of reasons the pound dollar is moving up so much. The pound dollar versus the euro, or excuse me, versus the dollar. I don't know why my brain is not connecting today. The UK has said, the Bank of England, Carney said, that rates will probably be raised sooner than later. And then we just had some statements out of the US saying, we're just going to kind of sit on things, and we're not changing too soon. And so nobody has changed rates yet, but there is talk, and the talk is definitely favoring some rate hikes out of the UK and not favoring rate hikes out of the US as soon. And so that's why we're seeing this big euro dollar run up. Now, remember, we shorted the euro dollar down here a little bit ago, and we hedged that position. So everyone's hedge should be down. You should have locked in somewhere between 30 to 50 pips of loss. So nothing too bad. Now here's what we have going on with this with this pound dollar. It's just running and running and running and running and running, and you can see that our daily chart is now 256 bars out from the 200 moving average. So the daily chart is just super overbought on the pound dollar, and it's continuing. It's continuing to make some new highs right here. So it's just looking absolutely fantastic in the way of hopefully giving us an opportunity to short it sooner than later. So what I'm looking at here on pound dollar is the fact that with that daily chart looking the way that it's looking, and the 4-hour chart's not looking super exciting, but it's it's 50 bars out. There's some potential there. But the 1-hour chart is really, really, really starting to look super good. And here's our 1-hour chart, and you can see that it's over 200 bars out now on the 1 hour. And so I'm going to be looking for opportunities to add a third position and add a short, another short to this pound dollar. If you're not in it, then you would just be adding your first short or a sell position. But we're going to be looking to get in somewhere around this area. I still think this pound dollar is probably going to run up another 50 to 100 pips minimum. And then it'll probably start working its way back down pretty soon. And it may not be a huge correction, but I think we're going to get some nice opportunity to trade this back down, at least into this 1 hour 200 moving average, which at this point is about 65 pips away, and should give us some nice opportunities. Here's where the twist comes. Now, I need to find a really, really good setup. We're hedged, and our hedge is up a whole bunch of pips, right? The hedge is looking great. It's up a whole bunch. So what we're going to do is we're going to, and this is going to be a little risky and a little bit crazy, and this is definitely something I don't recommend all the time, but with my guidance, hopefully we'll be able to make some good cash on this. we're going to close our hedge as soon as the setup is fantastic. We're going to close that hedge, take all that profit from the hedge, and we're going to add a short position, and we're going to trade this thing back down and hopefully get a good little run out of it, take some profit from the hedge, and with that second short, get us past break even into a nice little profitable area ASAP. So that is going to be the goal. But again, it's going to be a little tricky. We want to get as much of a move up as we can before we start doing that. But it should be a really nice move. So we'll be doing that. Keep an eye on it. I'll keep you guys all posted on that. And remember, for those that are not in yet, just know that we are looking to absolutely get short somewhere probably up around 170, 100, 170, 150, somewhere in there. I don't suspect that the pound dollar is going to make a huge reversal and a huge rundown and a huge everything too soon, but I think it's going to make a pretty decent correction, and that correction still could be a couple of hundred pips. And so I'm liking all that, and I think we have a great opportunity on this pound dollar. So just know all of that. Okay, last week I talked about this about 100 times. Including putting a trade in a couple of days before the end of the week, which was selling the break of 108.15 on dollar CAD. I hope everyone made some bucks on this thing. This was a nice little trade. You can see from that break, it's about 85 pips below right now. But I hope you guys got into that. As far as new trades and new outlook on the dollar CAD, we still have a very nice falling wedge that is now still on the decline just a little bit. So we're going to keep our eye on this falling wedge, but we don't have too much of a setup otherwise besides that big falling wedge on the daily chart. Now keep in mind the 1 hour chart is working its way into getting interesting. So sometime in the next 2 days or so, if this can keep working its way down, we'll probably have an opportunity to get long dollar CAD. We're getting decently extended on the 1 hour chart. The 4 hour chart is slowly getting interesting as well. We're about almost 60 bars out on the 4 hour chart. So just know we're keeping an eye on that one, and we're going to be looking to get long probably later in the week, towards the end of the week even. So we'll be watching that, and we'll be keeping an eye on that. But anybody that's saying, hey, the dollar CAD's just run down, let's continue shorting it, maybe that's okay. It's run down, it's hit some of the short-term targets we've looked for, but I think the dollar CAD is going to start working its way back up probably midweek, in the next couple of days here. So be really careful if you're short dollar CAD. If you're up a bunch of pips, take some profit and so on. But I think this thing will bottom out short term and start working its way back up higher. So just keep that in mind, and we'll take an entry on there if we can. Just quickly, Euro Aussie is very interesting. I would really like to get long most Euro pairs this week. I kind of like Euro dollars. I talked about, I think the Euro dollar, if it dips down, should give us an opportunity to head up into 13700. Euro Aussie, you can see here, is about 142 bars from the 200 moving average on the 4 hour chart. Which is pretty good. You can see that we've got this little support, this little double bottom area, that's 143.50 area. So if we can kind of hold on to that, if that can hang in there pretty well, then I think we're going to have a great opportunity to get long Euro Aussie. So remember, the Euro Aussie's got this huge falling wedge that's still holding in there pretty well. And again, if this 143.50 holds, then this could be our area to get long very, very soon. We've got a couple of missed weekly pivots up here. And again, our 4 hour chart is looking very, very good for this setup that we like. 1 hour chart, again, is not giving us much, so it's really all about that 4 hour chart. But with the 4 hour chart setting up the way that it is, it's looking pretty good. So I'm going to be watching 143.50. A break of that could also be probably a decent opportunity to short for a couple of pips, but if it runs down and touches and tests and does some of that stuff, then without getting too much below it, then we're definitely going to be looking for some opportunities to get long around there. And we'll be targeting areas such as probably 14600, right around there. You can see we've got a missed weekly pivot from the week before last, which is at about 146.26. And so all of those areas in there are starting to look pretty interesting. And of course, we've got a huge missed weekly pivot back here at 152.50 and a whole bunch of stuff. But we really need to get this thing pulling away before we start getting, really gung-ho about an entry. But those missed pivots are looking good. This 4-hour chart's looking really good. And we will be looking for opportunities to get long against 143.50 as the days go on. And again, if that level breaks, there could be a very nice opportunity to short that break and still look for opportunities to get long. That 4-hour chart is very, very reversal friendly right now, and we should have a really nice setup coming up there. Let's talk about this trade that we have running. Remember, this is an existing trade. I just flipped over to the notes here. We're long Aussie New Zealand from 107.75, and we're looking to target 108.75. So you can see we got into this thing back here. It dipped down just a little bit, came just shy of our stop hedge area, and then it came right back up. So here's 107.75 right about there. And it dipped down once again as the market opened this week, but now it's up, and we're up a couple of pips, right around 40 pips or so profit, and it's looking super, super good. So if anyone's asking if this is too late to get in with my setup, yes, probably it is too late to get in because we're already, it's nearly halfway to our profit target. So if you're not in it already, you've probably missed the trade. We're looking, remember, we're kind of splitting the difference from the 200 moving average and the missed weekly pivot point. So that's why we're looking for 108.75, which is right about there. It will probably reach that weekly pivot point if it gets to our profit target, but I'm going to play it safe and just grab 100 pips out of this. And we're already, again, we're in some pretty good profits, so this is a nice little setup. Loving everything about it. It's playing out absolutely perfectly, and that's that. So far, so good on Aussie New Zealand. Remember, that one's in the notes. That one has been playing out we got into that middle to early last week, I think. It's been a little while. Okay, so nothing much on dollar, Swiss franc, Euro CAD. As I mentioned, I would like to get long pretty much every euro pair this week if I can. If we can find the right setups and the right everything, I'd love to get long euro everything this week. Okay, Euro CAD has got a nice little falling wedge that goes over the last month or so. The falling wedge is looking great. You can see that we had a nice little pin bar down here, little rejection right around, what is that low, by the way? It looks like that low is about 145.50-ish area. And that seems to be holding pretty well, and that's created the bottom of our falling wedge. Remember that the 4-hour chart on this pair, we got really close to touching right there, but it didn't touch. Actually, it got darn close, but then it continued dropping and dipping. And now we're 200 bars from the last touch of the 200 moving average on the 4-hour chart, which is a big deal. So that is still turning out to be a nice setup. We've got at least one missed weekly pivot up here. I think we have our current weekly pivot that has not been missed, and it also has not been touched. So everything's looking pretty good on this pair. I haven't even looked at the 15-minute chart actually. So 15-minute looks like it's going to be pretty long friendly here. So last time we touched was 150, a little over 150. So everything's looking pretty good. I'm just about ready. We'll probably be looking to get long Euro CAD sometime tomorrow early, I would say. So again, our low here of about it's just about 145.50. That's going to be the area that we would have stops below and so on, and start targeting some of these upper areas. So EuroCAD's looking very, very good, long above 145.50. I haven't taken that entry yet, and I will advise all group members only, exactly where we're going to be getting in on that one, because that's going to be a really good entry. So I like the EuroCAD quite a bit. As you guys know, we've been watching this pound CAD, and this thing is all over the place. We had a big spike down right at the end of the week on the pound CAD. It ran down a good little chunk. it's now out of this little rising wedge area that we were talking about. So we'll be watching for opportunities to short pound CAD, but it's in the works. It's in the works. So I'll keep you guys posted on that one. Because remember, my big focus right now is to, number one, get us out of this pound dollar with some fantastic profit, which I don't think is going to be super difficult, and then to get us long in a lot of these euro pairs, which is going to be great. Again, we're looking to get long euro Aussie. We love that euro Aussie. Euro CAD looks great to get long in as well. Super nice there. Now remember, we're also currently long, you can see these right here in the notes, we're currently long euro pound between 79.70 and 79.80, so it's not super far from where we entered. Remember, it dipped down on Friday to 79.68, so right to the bottom of our entry zone. We're just looking for a little 10 pip entry zone there, 79.70 and 79.80. And we're long, and I'm loving this trade, and it's looking super, super good. Remember, our 4-hour and daily charts are just beyond extended in a way that you don't see the euro pound get extended. So we're 200 bars out on the 4-hour chart. The daily is looking pretty good at about 78 bars. 1-hour chart just tapped it right there, but definitely not worried about that one. Everything is still looking really good, so we're just going to hold on to this euro pound long. Remember, we are up a couple of pips. If you got the highest worst entry that we looked for, which was 79.80, then you should be at least 7 or 8 pips in profit right now. And if you got a really good low entry, then you could be close to 20 pips up. But either way, it's looking good. We're going to hold on to this one. We're still looking to take this thing back up to our original profit target and potentially even higher. So we have this nice little, remember, we have this nice little run right here on the daily chart, and you can see that our fib levels have not even really gotten close to being touched yet. So as this plays out, we could even end up extending our profit targets on the euro pound. So that one's looking real good. Just quickly, pound Swiss franc is looking pretty fantastic. I still hugely favor getting short pound Swiss franc as soon as possible. We're only about 60 bars out on the daily chart, so it's still kind of holding and waiting. 4-hour chart is just looking super good. Remember, we're all the way back here since the last touch, which puts us just over 200 bars out on this guy. There we go. Let's just fix that rising wedge just a little bit. So it's just riding that rising wedge, just barely hanging around there. So we're going to look for opportunities for this to spike up one more time, and then we'll be getting short pound Swiss franc, most likely midweek, somewhere in there. So this one's looking super good. I love this setup. We might have a little bit of a bull flag kind of a setup here. We had a strong run up, and then it's just kind of consolidated. So I'm going to let that one break, and then we're going to look for some big shorts, hopefully up a little bit above 15300. And if it does get above 15300, it's going to look great. So it's going to be a really nice little setup here if we get above 15300. So just be ready for that. So pound Swiss franc is looking good, and then just another quick one. I think this is the last major setup I'm looking for. New Zealand dollar is bouncing up around those highs. Now, whether New Zealand's going to continue in a bullish movement or not is a little bit yet to be seen. We don't have the most amazing setup except for the 1-hour chart. So remember, the daily chart, is literally single digits, barely double digits, 15 bars away on the daily chart. 4 hours getting a little more interesting at 50, but then we have this 1-hour chart that has moved away nearly 245 bars just about. So if this makes one more push higher, then we will absolutely be getting short New Zealand dollar. Now again, all of these entries, I want to kind of give you guys a little bit of an overview, but all of these entries are going to be very much specified in a super exact specific manner with written down trade entries and so on to group members. So anybody that would like to get in, because the Monday webinar, remember, is free for everybody, and I kind of just give a couple of things that I'm looking at and some areas and so on. But if you would like to see the specific day-to-day operations of what we do, get a free trial right there. You can click right there. And Kevin, for example, that would be where you would get the information, is by getting a free trial. So remember, this is the free webinar to everybody. You can watch the recording, and then that's about it. But if you would like to get a more information and kind of join us in the trade group and so on, you can do it with that link I just posted there. Okay guys, that's it for me. Those are the things I'm looking for. The pound yen is absolutely on the list this week as well, so I don't have too much to say about that one yet, but it is getting very interesting. So for the moment, group members, we're long Aussie New Zealand, and that's looking great. We're long Euro Pound, and that's looking pretty good. We're going to be doing some pretty fantastic stuff with that pound dollar short and hedge pretty soon. So that should be a nice little run coming up. So looking forward to that. I will get this recording posted. I'll send it out and post it in all the regular places. It'll be on Twitter. I'll send it out in email and so on as well. And again, for anybody who'd like to get a free trial, just click on that link. Thanks a bunch, everyone.